Australia.
Foster's, it's Australian for beer.
This is Baz Luhrmann without singing and dancing.
Really?
Uh-oh.
You mean like when the Japanese attack, they don't break out in a musical number anywhere in the middle?
Now, see, the funny thing is, it's not a musical, except everything about it is a musical.
Yeah.
They just don't go into song.
I'm trying to understand this and wrap my mind around it because I've seen Baz Luhrmann's films, and it's like singing and dancing, and that's the only good parts of the movie. So if you remove that, it sounds like it's kind of frightening and shitty.
You're mistaken. But anyway, this is Baz Luhrmann definitely being Baz Luhrmann again. It's that big, ultra-saturated color, bigger than life. He's doing his thing. I mean, let's face it. If he's not gay, he desperately wants to be. I mean, there's even, like, they play, what's the Wizard of Oz shit through this whole movie. You're
All
like,
through.
oh my God.
Follow the Yellow Brick Road?
No, it's just
somewhere
Somewhere over the rainbow?
Yeah,
That's the national gay anthem.
That's what I'm
not
saying.
saying the man's gay, but he's definitely a friend of Dorothy.
Yeah, there's no question there.
So tell us who Baz Luhrmann is.
He did.
Oh, okay.
Rouge.
So I didn't know what you were looking at. He did Moulin Rouge. He did Strictly Ballroom. He did Romeo and plus Juliet.
Wait, he had William Shakespeare's Romeo plus Juliet. It's Baz Luhrmann's William Shakespeare's Romeo plus Juliet.
Romeo now with added Juliet.
It's like when you go to Ruth's Chris Steakhouse. It's like, wait, is this Ruth's Steakhouse or Chris's Steakhouse?
I've always been confused about that, actually.
I thought Ruth Chris was one person.
Yeah, you think that.
When I heard about Australia a long time ago, I thought it was going to be like Madagascar. I thought it was going to be like an animated movie about talking kangaroos, and I'm coming to find out it's a romantic movie with Jack. I was trying to say Jack Lemmon.
Wolverine.
With Wolverine, not
Hugh Jackman.
Hugh Jackman. Who's that chick now?
Nicole Kidman.
Nicole Kidman.
Yeah,
Samantha Stevens.
Yeah, we got Wolverine and Samantha from Bewitched in this, and not one talking kangaroo in here, but it's one big long, almost 3-hour romance.
But you do get to see a kangaroo get shot. That's kind of cool.
Yeah, it is cool.
That's the funniest part of the movie.
Okay, I got to ask you guys, because I've been talking to people who have seen it, and I've been hearing some negative things, but you guys seem to have liked it. So what did you guys think?
Oh, that's a complicated answer.
Yeah, it really is. Because, every time I'm about ready to give up on this movie, because it's just... Man, it's just so histrionic. It's like, oh, for God's sakes, this is ridiculous. It'll do something that's really cool and win you back a little. And you're like, wow, okay, I didn't see that coming.
Well, what's the cool thing?
Well, honestly, I would say, like, you know how a movie is broken into 3 acts?
Yeah.
And this is where the 3 acts are completely different from each other, except this is broken into 3 movies because it's just that long. Yeah. And I'd say the first movie, the first part of it, say if you imagined some Australian took an old Clint Eastwood and Margaret Western and said, I'm going to recast this and redo it, except make it in Australia via Mars and add a musical sensibility to it. And just, oversaturate the colors and gay it up a little bit. That's what you get. And then in the middle part, the second movie, it's all romantic fantasy. I mean, it's the villain might as well be twirling his mustache and tying
Who's the
girls.
villain?
Some guy, some Aussie you never heard of.
Yeah.
The thing about this movie is they literally went and got every working Australian actor, every big name down in Australia, and put them in a big budget Hollywood film. Baz Luhrmann wanted to make a film that showed everything that was great about Australia. And it's one of those things that it's playing in Australia, and Australians are like, dude, are you kidding me? You had to get everyone working in Australia?
I think I would be offended by this film if I was Australian.
I
because
feel that way too.
it's you're watching it and it's such a cliche constantly. I mean, just elaborate. Everybody in the movie says "crikey" every time they get a chance.
So that's the big problem. It's like every character, for all it's doing, they're also very two-dimensional. I mean, they're lucky if they get 2 dimensions. Some only have 1.
Yeah, I was surprised they didn't get Paul Hogan because why not?
That's what I was going to say. Do we get an appearance by Crocodile Dundee and Kangaroo Jack from the Talking Kangaroo movie? Do they pop up anywhere?
No, but you do get Brian Brown from FX.
Yeah,
that has to tide you over. And Russell Crowe's not there.
Wait, we got to go all the way back to FX.
I know.
Really?
Well, what else would you get him from?
And Russell Crowe wasn't
FX
beating somebody up in the movie? Damn, I don't even remember FX.
Oh, FX was awesome.
Yeah, FX2 not so much.
But Cyrus is right. I mean, I had this movie so written off, and then it would do something kind of cool. Or I'd go like, you know what? take everything else away from it, it is beautiful.
Well, you didn't
It's a
say
work of art.
the last third is a big war movie.
It's a big war movie. And that's actually where like it really comes to life. Like the characters are more fleshed out. Actually cared about what was happening. It's frightening.
There's actual action.
Yeah, there's a lot of action in the third movie. And it's just like the only thing that made me sad is like, wow, you guys saved this good movie after you've exhausted me with these first two that I didn't care for.
So the plot of the movie is Nicole Kidman. She plays some sort of aristocrat who comes to Australia, and then she falls for this down and dirty Australian guy.
I think I've heard this joke.
Yeah.
And a Jew and a rabbi show up later.
Her husband owns like a cattle ranch in the middle of a whole giant area owned by another cattle rancher played by Brian Brown, who of course is evil.
Except he's not really the villain.
Yeah.
You think he is, but he's not.
A guy who works for him is the villain, who's
That's
sort
the guy
of
who's
taken matters into his own hands, more so than he would have been approved to do so.
He's the one tying kangaroos to railroad tracks.
Yeah,
Oh, that's are you serious?
not literally.
Okay, I was literally. I was about to get mad, man.
So they shot a kangaroo. They didn't like torture it. You know?
So it's like to show that he's really villainous. He shoots a kangaroo. Does he do it like come up to a kangaroo like point blank and like a mafia assassination? Like, where's my money, kangaroo? Bam!
There's no scene in this where this guy isn't there just being like a total asshole. Even when it's not even necessary, he's just doing stuff all through the movie.
Yeah.
He even kills off the main villain.
Damn, that's how bad
That's
he
how
is.
bad he is.
He's like, shit, I'm gonna kill this bad motherfucker who's better than me.
Yeah.
If you watch all the old westerns, this is an much explored topic. The little underdog in the middle of like this big corporate holding of all the guys owns a lot more land, and them trying to keep the little guy from being able to keep their business alive. And this one, they're trying to cattle drive through all the country owned by the big guy. And you know, I mean, we've seen all this, and you know what's going to happen. And like you said, at the end of the first movie, you're just like, okay, really? Okay, they succeeded. That's great. Well, that's the end of the movie.
Well,
Let's
I guess I can go home now.
Oh,
It's like, no,
shit.
but wait.
Well, now, from what I understand, this leads up to, like, after the Japanese have bombed Pearl Harbor, they're like, let's go bomb Australia too. Why not? And then
Yeah,
they come
well,
there and
which
they
actually
bomb
happened.
Australia.
Yeah.
I know that actually happened, but I'm saying,
but it
that's
was almost like they were on such a high from bombing Pearl Harbor.
Woohoo!
Hey, let's hit this other country too.
yeah, so we got some extra bombs left. Hey, let's bomb these motherfucking kangaroo loving motherfuckers over here. But how do they lead up from what we have, like this first gay movie, then this second romance movie, and then we get this war movie where the Japanese are bombing Australia? How do we lead up to that?
You know, honestly, at the end of the second movie, it really feels like the movie is over. I mean, at that point, I was literally ready to get up and walk out.
I was sure it was.
I was just like, well, it ended in a cliche way, and everything's tidy and everybody's happy, but oh well, it's done. And then nope, not at all. Because then it's just like it's one of these things like, but then the passage of time, then the Japanese came, and it was brought in a whole new era. I mean, it's not really a smooth transition, but they foreshadow it at the very beginning of the movie. So when it comes back into play, you go like, oh yeah, they did tell me this was coming.
Yeah, when it was at the very end, it was finally the credits. I was waiting for them to trick us and go, and now the story of the next generation.
Jesus, that kind of sounds like the movie that I hate, where you have a logical point to get up and leave, and they're like, no, wait a minute, we are so full of ourselves. We have an extra hour worth of movie to go.
The problem, I think, is like everything that happens in the third movie was their real point. And there's so much folly in the beginning.
Oh, and they just waited to get to it.
Besides the attack of the Japanese, it's all leads up to a big apology to the Aborigines of the area. Because they constantly, it's the prejudice against them throughout the whole thing. And by the time they get bombed by the Japanese, they're like, well, shit, we're all Australian. What you gonna do?
That's one of the things that really doesn't work in this movie, though, is they've got that whole musical aspect you're talking about, which is the mysticism of the Aborigine, which dances around the outskirts of the plot and just makes the whole proceeding seem just kind of goofy and unbelievable. Really.
Oh, okay.
And you're like, what are we watching here? Is this a war movie? Is it a fantasy? Is it a historical drama? I'm not really sure at all what you're trying to sell us.
So let me try to sum this up from what you're saying. The movie can't decide what it wants to be. So if it's a little disjointed, it's too long because it takes too long to get to the point. And while it does have some things going for it, like great cinematography, some great acting, some great action scenes, it just doesn't completely hold up as
If
one
you
movie.
walked in and only saw the last third of it, you go like, man, that's a good movie. I want to see the rest of that at some point.
And so if you see the last third, then you've seen the movie.
You've seen the best parts.
So what would you give it then?
God, it's hard.
I keep hovering
That's what I'm saying
between low matinee, high rental. But I think I'm going to go high rental.
Yeah, you know what? I would say rental also. Yeah, high rental. Just in that watching at home, it gives you a chance to take those piss breaks in the middle. You know, you're eating popcorn.
Go make some popcorn.
Yeah.
Shoot a kangaroo.
The funny thing was at the end of the movie, you know, there's always that message that they give you, and they say, like, you know, in 2006, the Australian government officially apologized to the Aborigines, and it's like, oh wow! Just 2 years before this movie came out, you guys decided to go like, "We're sorry, okay." Although, really, I mean, that apology should have been to the audience for making such a long ass movie.
By the way, I think we should apologize to the Aborigines, including all Australians and even kangaroos, for our shitty Australian accents since the beginning. So lump us in and all that too.
Welcome to Australia.